What is up, Long Game Podcast? How we doing today? It's your boy, Damon Serafino, with the one, the only, Clay Barrow.
What's up?
I have a story to tell us. Last night, we went to the Rockies game. Absolute poverty franchise. 17 wins.
Terrible.
We were eliminated. I'm a Red Sox fan, but we live in Denver, so I go to the Rockies games. We were eliminated from the playoffs 2 weeks into May, I think.
Yeah, which is super early. Like, statistically, there's no way of making the playoffs now. We're just trash. Absolute trash.
We're terrible, and pray for us. We need it.
It's like a lot of the stadium, like, it was probably half the stadium was full. There was just sections and
that was
rows
the biggest
of
attendance I've
nobody.
seen.
Really?
That was,
wow.
Yeah, I've been to 5 games in 2 years. It was like 31,000 was the biggest attendance
That's
I've
crazy.
ever
Which is
seen.
so dumb because the owners are like, no matter how good we are, we're still going to get the checks and whatever. We're making all this money. It's like, bro, but like make a good team. Sell it to Damon. Sell the team to Damon.
We had a plan last night, but we're not getting into that.
Yeah.
What was so important about last night, though? It was Ryan Day
Let's
at the
go.
ballpark. And we're laughing because we had no clue. We show up to think we're just going to go watch the Rockies get blown out, which they did. They got blown out 14-8. Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, though, it was Ryan Day. And everyone with the name Ryan showed up and sat in there must have been 1,000 Ryans at the game.
They had white shirts, too. They were
Name
going
tags.
Insane. Like, there were these 4 guys that were shirtless. And they had, like, one had R, one had Y,
Yes.
A-N. Oh, it was so funny.
But the electric part about it is, though, we have the Rockies. They have a shortstop, a third baseman, and at least one pitcher.
I think, yeah, like a center fielder,
Maybe.
definitely a pitcher.
All named Ryan.
Yeah, but the Ryan who was the pitcher, he played like trash.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
I think he gave up like 5 earned runs. It was bad.
Yeah.
In like inning and a half or inning and 1/3.
Uh-huh.
But Ryan, though, the shortstop Ryan, cranks
He went off.
home. He went off. Double
Yeah.
start the game, and we go electric.
He like points at all the
Yes.
Ryans, and they're going crazy.
He hits a home run, and this home run made it. It was one of them. It tied the game, or it made it like within 1 run because we were down like 6-1.
Right? Yeah, I think he made it so that we were up by 1.
It was like 7-6.
All the fans were going insane.
We were jumping up and down, screaming Ryan, and then the game ends, and we're driving out, and I lean out the car. I see a group of Ryans in the white shirts. I go, Ryan, let's go!
Ryan? Yeah,
and they just start screaming.
We're going insane.
It was good. Does that story connect to the episode at all? No,
No, not at all. It was just a fun.
It was
fun
fun
thing we did last night.
You should check it out on Instagram or something. I don't know. Ryan Day, Rockies. That's the best thing they've done in probably the past 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But today we're talking about mentorship. Clay, why did we choose this topic? Why do we think it's important? And how are we qualified to even talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I've said this so much in Bible study, but like there should always be someone that, you look up to and someone that looks up to you. And that's mentorship. And really, like, I've had some great mentors in my life. I think of this story of this guy. I would consider him like my financial mentor, my investment mentor, and his name is Dwayne. And he's about to finish his master's degree, and I believe in like investment banking or I don't know, like financial analysis, something along the lines of that. And so I was asking him about the whole like Trump and Elon feud, like what all is happening with that. And it's like I had some Tesla stock, and I was like, Dwayne, so like should I sell it? Like what? Should I be worried about this? He's like, no, bro, like all of that is trash. He's like, don't listen to any of that. He's like, buy more Tesla stock. It's all a publicity stunt. And I'm like, all right, like I don't know if I trust that. And he's like, no, dude, I swear, like buy some more Tesla stock. Like you're gonna be happy you did. And so I did. And he's right, like they've made up since then, not to get political or anything, but they've made up since then. And like Tesla stock is higher than it's been in, I believe, like a whole entire year. And so just like seeing that, different areas of mentorship in my life that have been so influential, and really just like being able to sit down with someone and learn from them, hear like their life experience, or I don't know, talk to them about thoughts that I'm having, and then they're able to identify like negative self-talk, or whenever like my theology isn't as sound as it should be, they're always there to just like, I don't know, nicely guide me to truth, guide me to, where God wants me to be. I think of Proverbs 11:14. It says, where there's no guidance, a people falls, where there's no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. This is biblical, like having wise counsel around you, people to look up to, people to ask questions if you don't understand something. I think that mentorship is something great. And just like I remember in middle school, it was probably like the darkest, like most difficult time of my life, just having like insecurity, just being a small like middle schooler trying to figure things out. And two guys really took it upon themselves to mentor me and to guide me and to lead me in faith, help me through whatever I was going through. And just like having those guys to look up to ask questions, to be around, be in community with, serve with, was so foundational in my walk with Christ. And so, I don't know, I think it's great that you get to, pick and choose who you want to be by picking like who you want to mentor you. And it's something that like, I'm still looking for mentors. I'm always keeping an eye out to see like who can I be mentored to, who is there to look up, or who can I be mentored by, who is there to look up to. Just always kind of trying to see like other traits in people that I would like to have, and just inviting them, to get dinner or get lunch or pick their brains.
So what I just heard. Mm-hmm. First, we need to buy EV and vote for Donald Trump in the night. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's so.
I'm not saying that.
That's so wise, especially the scripture you quoted, that there is safety in counsel, and I think scripture is so clear about that all throughout your favorite book, Proverbs. You're never gonna escape that. But if it is wisdom to have a counselor, or what we call a mentor, and be a mentee, and then from then on, go and be a mentor. And have a mentee, basically join youth ministry in your local church.
Shout out, shameless plug.
No shame. Youth ministry always needs more young adults.
Facts, yeah.
But what do I look for? How do I find a mentor? What quality traits should they have? I mean, dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's wise to look for a mentor that has good judgment, a track record of success. I don't know, whatever they're doing, whatever their area of expertise is, like, are they trustworthy? Do they have self-control? Do they have integrity? Is there humility? I think that we can learn so much from these people, and they're all around us, in church, or whether that's at your job, different bosses. There's always someone to look up to, and there's always growth that can be had in our own personal lives. And I also think it's very wise to have someone who's older than you as well. I mean, you don't always have to have this, but if there's someone who's older than you, who has had experience in a field that you're just going into, that's someone who you can look up to and ask questions. Just ask them, how can I be better in this area of my life? How can I be better in this area of my job? What's some wisdom that you can give to me? And, we hear all the time to try to learn from the mistakes of other people's lives instead of making those own mistakes in your life. And I think like having mentors, it can just give us, so much opportunities to make the right decision the first time, because we have this wisdom from someone who's older than us. Absolutely.
So good. Yeah. What does it look like to find someone who has that track record? What are like some of those things, like say a good habit that's successful in our church, or someone or do they have to have gray hair? How old should they be? Does it mean like someone who's 30 if I'm 20, or does it mean someone who's like older, like 50 or 60? How do I know who's right for me?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think like if you don't have mentorship, if you're not looking for that, it's so easy to just like go to, get a meal with one of your friends, and they're just accepting you and agreeing with you in everything that you do, when this can get hurtful eventually, like in some circumstances. So I mean, to answer your question, I think that someone who is like a man of a church, someone who has like had a track record of having strong faith, maybe it's someone who has a wife and kids. I have a couple people in my life who they have a wife and kids. They've been exactly where I've been at. There's one guy in particular that I'm thinking about, and I would just look at his Instagram stories, see what he was posting, listen to the podcasts that he was saying that he listened to and that I should listen to. Just like, I don't know, looking at his posts and seeing like, is this guy, flexing with like those mirror pics? And, that's probably not a guy that you want to look up to. It's someone who's, in community with other people, or who's leading at their church, or growing other people who are younger. I think it's someone that others speak highly of as well. If you hear about someone who's, I don't know, doing something great in your church, or who's an amazing leader from someone else, I mean, that's a green flag to, meet them, pursue them, try to ask them if they can go to coffee, go to lunch, hang out with you, just surround yourself with these people for sure.
What does it look like to specifically surround yourself? Those are the attributes, the character traits that I should be looking in. How do I practically start going out with them? Asking a girl on a date is terrifying. Never mind a 45-year-old guy who's got 3 kids and a wife, and
Yeah.
How do I go about, you said the word pursue. How do I pursue a mentor, and how do I
Yeah.
make it worth their time?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's just if I heard that they were going to be at an event, like I will, I don't know, try to cancel other stuff on my schedule so that I can see if I can be at that event as well. Or like, I don't know, rub shoulders with them, get to know their name, try to, tell them your name and how hopefully they'll remember it. A lot of guys that I've gained mentorship from, but been mentored by it was guys that I just like joined their Bible study, heard that they were leading a Bible study or heard that they were in one. And I just attended that. I remember this one guy, he put on his story that, he was going to be leading a Bible study. And I'm like, dude, I have to go to that. I have to attend it just to see what I can learn from this guy. I think that a lot of people that want to get mentored, they just get complacent and they're like, man, where's all these mentors? How do I get mentored in my life? And really, it's on them to pursue that mentorship. Like, try to find someone that can mentor them. And a lot of guys, they'll be like, all right, but like, how do I get them to practically go to coffee or lunch or dinner with me? And I would say just simply ask them.
Come on.
Ask them to
So
go with
good.
you and pay for them.
Oh, yes.
Pick a time, pick a date, ask if that works for their schedule, and like you ask them. Not just wait for them to ask you. Like I said, pay for their meal, be there, ask them great questions. I think that these are easy things to do, but we just like get so overwhelmed and so complacent in it.
Yeah, one pastor I've heard, he said exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that he said too is that if you're not of value to me as a mentor, then I don't want you to be my mentee.
True. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to provide value to that mentor's life? I know one pastor, he said that when he was in teenage years into his 20s, he would say, hey, whenever you need a ride to the airport, call me. I will do it for free.
Oh, wow.
And if you live in Denver, you know how awful it is to get to
huge.
DIA.
Yeah.
It is
like way out of the way.
So out of the way, so inconvenient, so busy. And that's one thing. And he said he would mow his lawn. And that's all he would get with that one person. But in those car rides and mowing his lawn and for free, he was serving that person, and then the mentor would be willing to give his time up because he's doing a service for him. I'm not saying you got to start mowing your pastor's lawn, which you should anyway.
Yeah, but like be looking for those opportunities and ways that you can serve them.
Yeah, I love that. Almost being like zealous to learn, being zealous to grow, and if you're not, then you should have a mentor regardless, but if you're not like wanting to get better, if you're not wanting to get better yourself, then it doesn't work. It's not going to be fruitful. You have to be all in with that relationship with a mentor, but also too, they're not going to be your end all be all too. Like they have their own life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think serving them is so important.
Absolutely.
How do I be a successful mentee though?
Yeah.
Outside of pursuing them, but when you finally get the big date, you know, maybe you can't get the hot blonde girl at your church to go out with you, or guy.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm not talking about myself, by the way. But how do you, when you get to that big moment, you're on the coffee or lunch mentor time, not date.
Yeah.
How do you? And they're like, all right, we get 45 minutes. 45 minutes goes by so quick when it's good conversation. How do you make the most of your time when you do eventually get that coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And we mentioned this before, recording this podcast, but, I've had different guys that I've been able to mentor through, college groups or student council. I feel like over the last 5 years, I've always had someone that I was pouring into, like getting coffee or lunch with once a week. And I've definitely noticed patterns in successful mentees and unsuccessful ones. And really it comes down to like humility. Are they listening to you? Do they actually, want to hear what you have to say? Are they coming and asking good questions? Like I've had a couple mentees who have come and been like, man, I have this question. I feel like you'd be really good at answering. And it's like, yeah, I love that. Like I would love to answer that question and help you through whatever you're going through. And on the other hand, there's some mentees that I've mentored and they're like, I'll be talking and they cut me off and they're like, oh, I already knew that. Like, I've already heard that. And that just like turns me off to mentoring them. I'm like, really? Well, then why am I even here? Yeah, those great mentees are guys that, they want to listen. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to gain your insight. And I feel like it's so beneficial when they come with that mindset of just like, man, I want to learn anything that you have for me. I was just watching this podcast, and it was from Modern Wisdom. It's Chris Williamson, and he was interviewing this guy named Alex Hormozy, and he's this very successful businessman. And he said that like one of the best skills to have is having the discernment to know like when should I be listening, when should I not really be listening, or like being able to analyze in a conversation like when can this be helpful and when is this not helpful. And I think that the mentees that have that and that have developed that discernment to really like push in and ask really good questions when they want to hear something beneficial, those are the successful ones for sure.
I think too, it's something to add is that it's important to have multiple mentors too, because at least for me, some of my mentors, they have wife, multiple kids, dog, house. They are busy. So they're all, I think actually all of them, they're all pastors too. And being young in ministry, I'm looking for tips and tricks all the time. How do I not burn out and this and that? And I have a collection, you know, for me personally, I have someone on staff who mentors me, who's one of the pastors on staff, who's not on my team. And so they're not my direct report. Then I have two people who are out of organization, my church organization, and man, one is a male, one's a female. I don't know. Maybe that's a little controversial. Like obviously we don't like. I asked the female who she's a pastor. Hot topic, I guess. Her church gives her that title, but I'm always looking up to, and I'm always asking questions. And why did you do it that way? And wow, that was a really good job. I'm asking all these questions and. Because she's a subject matter expert in her field and has done youth ministry did it for 5 years. And so that's the people I want to learn from, the people who've gone before me and done it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about finding a mentor, having a good mentor. Very important. Also, can I say sidebar, fellas, ladies think it is the biggest green flag for a guy who has a mentor.
Yeah.
I've heard it first from some bad first dates, but like, wow, you have a mentor? That's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Just saying. So if you want to get married, get a mentor. Anyway, you said one thing that I really like is that you should be mentoring, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but you should be mentored by someone who is in a season ahead of you, but then you should also be mentoring someone in the season below you.
Yes.
What does that look like? Why should I be a mentor? Guys, Clay's a great mentor. That's what I'm going to say. He thinks he's going to be prideful, but he's a great mentor. He's mentored a bunch of guys, and he's so patient with people. How do you be a good mentor, and what does that do for you and your soul? And then what is fruit you've seen in your mentee's life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like a big part, I would say like one of the most important parts of being a mentor is consistency. Like, are you meeting with them once a week? You know, is it at the same spot? Are you there for them? I think that like sometimes, you know, life gets busy and you know, things happen where you got to cancel, but are you like rescheduling that meeting with that mentee? Something that's been huge for me is praying beforehand. Whenever I'm on my way to get coffee with someone that I'm mentoring, I'm always praying like, God, lead me, you know, guide our conversation. Your will be done in this conversation. You know, help me to give them little nuggets of wisdom that they can bring into every area of their life. I think that it requires a lot of like compassion as well. There's going to be a lot of like correcting your mentee, and you need to learn to do that in a loving way, in a way that's not going to be hurtful, but in a way that's like building someone up. And I mean, sometimes those hard conversations do have to happen, you know, and it's difficult. But I think that developing that empathy of, you know, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, that can be extremely beneficial as a mentor. And then, yeah, just like the fruits that I've seen in my mentees' lives, you know, some have been very successful, like some it went really well, and some you could tell like they just didn't really want to be there. And I mean, that's okay, like that's fine. But I feel like when it was consistent, when people were listening, you know, they found a lot of growth, and I found so much growth in my life as well. Just from hearing from their perspective of the younger generation, I feel like that's so beneficial as well. Just hearing about like, you know, what are the difficulties that people younger are going through? You know, what's some of the things that the next generation is struggling with? Yeah, how to, I guess, like go about combating that or just bringing it up in conversation. And there's a couple guys who it's gone really well, and I just see that they're serving at their church. You know, they're being a light to people around them. They're creating positive ripple effects out into the lives of others. And I mean, I feel like it's so easy to get prideful and be like, oh, that was all me. But really, like, God has been leading all of that. You know, he's been so influential in so much of their lives. And it's like, so much of the things that they're doing, I can't take any credit for. That's all them. And I think it's so easy to be like, man, I want to mentor someone, but like, there's nobody to mentor. Like,
Join youth group.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was
Serve in
gonna
youth
say.
group.
Yeah, just like serve in youth group. Once a week. That's a great way to be consistent. Lead a small group. Have a bunch of guys that look up to you. You're gonna find so much growth in your life. But I mean, there's always kids around you. Like, I don't know, I think about there's kids around that like they don't have a dad, or if you're a girl, like they don't have a mom. They don't have that parental figure to look up to. That's your sign to like jump in, help out, see where you can give them advice, give them wisdom, guide them, teach them about the Lord, share the life of Jesus with that person. I've served for about 6 months now at Save Our Youth. There's so many different mentorship programs that you can join in. And if you want to mentor someone who's in middle school, they'll pair you up with someone in middle school. In high school, they'll pair you up with someone in high school. And just like this organization, I have so many good things to say about Save Our Youth. They've been so helpful. They've helped me somewhat when it comes to like money. I don't know, they've given me free tickets to like the museum where I can take my mentee to the museum, learn a ton through that. Or they gave me this book to go through with my mentee. And it really gave us both a chance to like open up and really share like, man, what are we going through? What are some goals that we want to accomplish in our lives? And there's just and I'll say also like all of the people that are on staff at Save Our Youth, they've been so helpful. I've always had someone that I can call and ask questions and, that can give me that wise guidance so that I can give wise guidance to someone who's younger. So, I mean, there's always someone to mentor. You just have to like look around you or join a church or, listen to others that are having concerns about like maybe their son isn't doing so well in school. Maybe you can get lunch with him and, I don't know, tutor him or help him with friendships or whatever he's going through. I mean, like I said, that's what people did for me. They saw a need and they met a need. So there's so much around us that, so many opportunities around us. Once you're praying to God, like, hey, help me to mentor someone, like open my eyes to see the people around me that need my help.
What I will say is this: when you are a mentor, because I mentor a lot of people and mentor people who mentor people, and a lot of mentorship going on. And I'm been a faithful mentee of people for years. And what's being a mentor though? As a mentee, you get poured into, and then from that, what you get to do is get to have this crazy kingdom impact, and you always have to be fired up. Always have to be fired up, because especially with the middle schoolers, man, they know when you're spewing BS.
Yeah,
they know
they can see it. Yeah,
right
when you're not having that honesty.
If you're like, yeah, you should like not be having sex before marriage, and then you're doing that or watching porn, it's like, hey, I can see that right through you on your face.
Yeah,
and so being a mentor too, I think one thing that's really huge and a benefit to you is that you get free accountability.
Yeah.
Every week you're showing up, leading a small group at your church for peers, whether it's young adults or if you're older, or you're a small group leader for youth. Man, you got to show up. You show up well, and doesn't mean you got to show up perfect, but you got to show up well every week, and even when it's hard for you, and you kind of got to put a little bit of front on. And so, yeah, that's been a huge thing for me. It's like, man, I can't show up on Sunday nights and not be completely unhealthy. I need to be living above reproach every week.
Yeah, absolutely. I know before this we were talking about, and this is backtracking a bit, but we were talking about, Elijah and Elisha and their mentorship, and, important prophets in the Bible who are, two men really after like God's own heart. They were pursuing him. Like we even saw like Elijah, like God couldn't wait until he died. He like brought him up to heaven in a chariot. Yeah, exactly. And we see that Elisha was mentored by Elijah. And
also, can we just say, why did God do that to us? It's all those names. They couldn't have like put Elisha like a couple generations down.
I know. Yeah. What the heck is this? Yeah. But Elisha, he asks boldly to God. He's like, God, I want like double the influence of Elijah. I want double the Holy Spirit. I want to do like double the miracles. And we see that like God was proud. He was proud of that. He's like, man, like, yeah, I want to give that to you. Like, you're asking me for wisdom. You're asking me for these things that I already want to bless you with. And then we see like towards the end of Elisha's ministry, Elijah, he did 7 miracles, 7, acts from the Lord. And Elisha, he does 14. So he did get, double those miracles, double that influence.
Something that's really important in that story though, is the beginning of how he even gets there is that he just Elisha follows this is so confusing.
You
I
got
hate
it.
this.
I believe.
The mentee, he's in the field, and there's kind of this phrase that I've coined is burn the plow, kill the cow. And he's out in the farm, and he, kills the cows that has and gives the food to people, and then burns his plows, and he literally follows Elijah everywhere. And Elijah's honestly annoyed. He's like, bruh, why you following me everywhere? And I think that's what it looks like to seek after a mentor, but then literally giving up everything and just following Elijah, he gets to have this huge blessing on his own life, first of all, but then does receive this double portion of God's Spirit, which theologically I'm not sure how that works, but we do see the fruit of it, that he does double the amount of the miracles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like that's just such a great story of seeing, like, man, how how do I go to God and ask him for a mentor? God answers the prayer of Elisha in giving him Elijah. And I mean, I believe that God wants to bless us with mentors around us as well.
What are some other ways? Maybe in this season, let's say I'm struggling to find the guy or girl at my church to mentor me. What is something that I can do in the interim to find wisdom? Or find mentorship or and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's primarily best when you're mentored, face to face with someone, preferred like the same sex, who's older, who's in your job. I feel like that's great, like having that face-to-face interaction. But also I've found that like mentorship has been supplemented in my life by listening to different podcasts or looking up to different church fathers, hearing their messages. I think that guys our age, they're looking for male role models and they don't know where to find them. And so I went on the internet and I was looking up like who are some of the male role models that we have in our day and age. And it was so funny. There was some crazy answers. One, it said like Kermit the Frog because he's like patient, he's kind,
slow to anger,
he's nice to everyone.
Come on, sounds like Yahweh.
And I'm like, all right, cool. Like we have like a fictitious character to look up to, I guess. Like great. I don't know. And then like I saw the number one answer when I looked it up. It was LeBron James, and I'm like, oh,
my sunshine.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, some people can look up to LeBron. Like I'm not saying anything negative about him.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, definitely. One very common one that I saw, it was more common in like the last 5 years, but it was Andrew Tate that people were looking up to.
Such a bad
very
influence.
Like red pill. Yeah, and it's like some of the stuff that he says, like, yeah, I agree with that, and like some things I'm like, I never saw it in that way. Yeah, it's so close to the truth. And then other things, like all these like misogynistic things that he says, I'm like, I don't know if it's great for someone to look up to someone like him. Another one that I saw was like Kendrick Lamar, and his feud with like Drake. It's everyone saying you should look up to Kendrick Lamar and his character. Yeah, right. And it's like you see like so much, I don't know, negativity in his life. And he claims to be a Christian, but like, I don't know, just some of the things that he says in his music, I'm like, we shouldn't be looking up to that. Or even just like this whole feud with Drake and making it so public. It's like, I don't know if that's someone that I necessarily want to look up to.
So then who do we listen to? Who should we listen to? Name drop some other podcasts, some people, some mentors that we can listen to in our free time, in our drives, cleaning the house up.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually we've talked about, I've talked about this with, our editor, Lainey, my sister. Yeah. And we've had some ideas of posting on our stories, like, here's a podcast that we're listening to. Here's a great podcast. Like, you should listen to it. I have a list on my notes on my phone of different podcasts that I listen to that have been so influential. Yeah, absolutely. So one, he's not Christian, but I mean, he is secular for sure, but I think that we can gain so many insights from him. It's Chris Williamson in the Modern Wisdom podcast. And I believe like his expertise is like biological, I don't know, like how we've developed over time. I don't know, different areas of wisdom that we can learn from. Like I said, his podcast is Modern Wisdom, and he really dives into like, what's beneficial for young men, what's not beneficial for young men. And I think that he has amazing insights. Another one is John Deloney. He's growing rapidly right now. He's a therapist. I believe he has 2 PhDs. And he has like his own practice. Yeah, right. Not anymore. Yeah, he's huge. But I mean, he's in his boss is Dave Ramsey. You know, he's a part of that group.
Dang.
You know, the Dave Ramsey, he holds a lot of conferences, and John Deloney is always like the keynote speaker. Wow. You know, he's always at the very end. But he has this show called The John Deloney Show. It's on Spotify and YouTube, and he gets calls from people who are struggling with anything, you know, like
I think I've
marriage
seen that on
issues
YouTube.
or trauma,
I think I've seen that.
anxiety. Yeah, and he's just so smart. Like He's so quick-witted. He has great answers for everything, and like he doesn't pretend like he knows everything. He has a lot of humility, and I believe like he comes from a Christian background as well. He was a big reason why I wanted to go into therapy and like get this master's degree. It was all because of him, because he's like deeply helping people, even if it's over the phone. And I've found so much healing in my life just from hearing him, or, you know, someone will call in with a similar circumstance to me, and I can just like gain insight from how John, you know, tells them how to go about their issues or their problems. But he just does it in such a loving way. Another one that we've been listening to a ton is Jonathan Pokluda, you know, JP and the Becoming Something podcast.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, he had one of like the biggest young adult ministries in the whole entire country. And then he goes and he starts his own church, and he still has this podcast where he's just going into like very practical advice for young adult guys and girls. I know he focuses a lot on like relationships, how to find a godly spouse. But I mean, he does an amazing job of just breaking down all of these difficult topics. Another one, you know, and I know he's very into politics, but it's Jordan Peterson has been so influential in my life, just giving me like basic advice on like, you know, how to be presentable. I know a big thing of his is just make your bed in the morning, like be productive, be disciplined. I know he has like such a big influence on young guys that are our age, you know, whether you agree with his politics or not. Like he's just so wise, so smart. He's been doing it for so long. And I believe like a bunch of our listeners can hear what he has to say. But yeah, like I said, I mean, that's all like, that can be supplemented, you know, it can be helpful if you feel like you don't have a mentor, or if you're trying to find one. Like those guys are great, and they've really shaped me into who I am today. But like nothing beats that face-to-face mentorship with someone who's older and wiser than you.
You know who I love listening to?
Yeah.
The Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Right. Whatever.
Dude, I gotta believe that the moon landing's fake, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
Hey, Clay, thanks for sharing your expertise and being a mentor and finding a mentor and all that.
Sure.
We're closing
and
out.
I don't claim to be an expert, but yeah, I'm
calling
growing
you
too.
Between us, you're the subject matter expert. But
Thanks,
hey,
man.
Gang, that's all we got for you this week. We're going to see you guys in the next episode. See ya.
Yeah.
Congrats, you made it past the outro music. It would help us out if you'd like, comment, subscribe, and or share our podcast. See you guys next week.